Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
So thanks for choosing this episode. As the title suggests, it is, well, let's just say it's TMI overload.
Yeah.
So
this is like if you want the nitty-gritty on Leigh's actual birth with probably like no details spared.
Exactly that.
I know that like the podcast we do, it's a slightly different vibe.
Yeah. But it's one that I think we need to cover and one that I'd like to share as well. Okay. So this is all about my childbirth from the beginning to the end, no holding back. Like I say, there might be some details that might be upsetting. If you have had a traumatic birth, please just bear that in mind before you listen to this episode.
Bonus content. Bonus content. This is a terrible jingle. Let's stick to the original.
Yeah. So this episode is called Shits and Giggles. Who came up with that?
Why is that, Leigh Milner?
What was the other one?
Of TV fame, Shitty Bang Bang.
I mean, wow. I didn't even shit myself, so I don't know where that came from.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I did. I kind of blank out a few things.
I think that we need a little bit of context.
Yeah.
Right, get on with it.
So I became pregnant in 2022, May 2022. And we were under the impression that, okay, childbirth is going to not be great. I mean, pushing something out that big out of a hole this big is not going to be enjoyable. But I think I'm pretty tough. I think I'm pretty hard.
I remember you said to the doctors when you were in the birthing suite, sweet, lol. Anyway, you said, oh yeah, I've got quite a high pain threshold.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, you thought you did.
I thought I did.
You probably do. But there's the threshold and then there's...
death.
Beyond the threshold.
So we paid for lots of hypnobirthing courses. These are courses where they teach you how to manage pain. So you think
using your mind.
Using your mind. So you think of a nice place to go to when you're feeling all that pain. So I pictured us on the beach somewhere sipping a margarita. And then whilst you're feeling that pain, you have to breathe.
Yeah.
So you concentrate on your breathing techniques, and you can take objects into your birthing suite, like LED candles. You can have little twinkly lights. You can have whale music, a diffuser as well.
A birthing playlist.
A birthing playlist, which we had. We had all of this.
And there were some funny songs on there, like Natalie Imbruglia's Torn, for example.
Yeah.
Funny stuff.
My neck, my back. Anyway, so we had loads of stuff, right? We were prepped.
Yeah.
Okay. I was ready.
And in the run-up, let's just say as well that in the run-up to giving birth, we were very positive, but we found out that the hospital that we were going to go to didn't have gas and air available because of...
It was because of a leak, which meant that they needed to stop all of the gas and air to make sure that the staff were safe and the levels of the gas and air kind of... What's it called? The gas that they use?
Nitrous oxide?
Yeah, nitrous oxide. So the levels of nitrous oxide within the hospital came down to a safe level. So for a number of weeks, they didn't have gas and air.
And guess
what? Guess when I went into labour? Literally at the same time.
Yeah.
So we had done let me remind you, we were prepped.
Hypnobirthing.
Right?
A bag was ready at the door side.
No, we phoned the hospital and said, if you don't have gas and air, what do we do?
What are you going to do about it?
And they promised us all the drugs. They said you can have as many drugs as you want.
Don't worry, there'll be extra anaesthetists available so that you can have an epidural, which is basically a big needle in your back to kill the pain. Everything will be, lots of options will be available to you.
So we were feeling pretty good.
Many options. You don't worry, gas and air, people don't really use it anyway.
So then we went into hospital because I thought I was having contractions. And when they did a blood pressure test, they said that my blood pressure was quite high, so they wanted to keep me in to monitor me. The problem with that is when your blood pressure is high and you're near the time of giving birth, they think it's something called preeclampsia, which can be pretty serious for mothers. Mothers can die from it. It's all to do with your blood pressure whilst giving birth. So they kept us in overnight just to keep, to
give you tablets to bring it
monitor
down.
us. Yeah. And what was that like for you, Chris?
It turns out that maternity wards don't like men being there.
They're not really catered for men, are they?
So they want you to go, and the way that they make that known is that they give you a chair which you can sleep in, which is like an upright, hard-backed, wooden...
90-degree angle.
90 degrees, really not comfortable. And then, for example, if they come in and offer the ladies who are there a cup of tea, you'll be blanked because you're not welcome there.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I would have happily made tea for everybody.
Yeah, you would.
It would have been a good... it
would have been a good brew. You make a good brew.
Yeah, I've got better, haven't I?
Yeah.
But they look directly at you in the eyes and then they go, would you like a cup of tea?
I think they actually said to you, when you said, can I have a biscuit? I think she said to you...
The biscuits aren't for you.
The biscuits aren't for you.
Now, look, I get that the biscuits
and
are not...
I had to take extra for me, and then give them to you.
For the baby.
The baby.
But there's a lot of unusual... decisions, like partners weren't allowed to stay overnight once the baby was born, all that stuff.
And we were in a space where you had to share a very, I would say, small-ish
it was
ward
quite small,
with 3 other women, and you could hear everything, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Those examinations, I felt like they were happening to me.
Yeah.
But we made friends, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we ended up staying there.
And the LED lights. And we had
the setup. We got the LED candles out and the fairy lights. We got the whole shebang. It looked like a 5-star spa once we'd finished with it.
They were impressed at how we'd had a galaxy light.
Yes.
So the stars on the ceiling
and a McDonald's
and a Mackie D's. So it was all calm, and we were doing a good approach, was what I felt.
The problem. Where the problem started is we were there for 3 nights and
to monitor you,
and we just did not know what was going on. And by the end of it, we were tired, we couldn't sleep, and we just wanted Theo to come, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we were offered induction, which is where they speed up the process of labour. Now I was given a pessary, and everything was going fine that day. Then they had. A bit like, dare I say, a cattle market, they had an opening in the birthing suite and said, one out, one in.
In the ward.
So, the space has become available. So if we pop your waters now, you can get that space.
Quick.
So I was like, okay, what have I got to do? And she said, it's really, don't worry. It's just where we're going to pop your waters, which sounds very innocent, doesn't it? It's going to pop your waters.
Pop.
And then we're going to get you in. You can have your baby in 2 hours.
Very exciting.
It's great.
It's not very fast. It won't be rushed. You'll be in control.
So we were like, look, the only thing that we ask is if I am going to have my waters broke, will I have time for an epidural? Because I don't want to feel no pain.
Yeah.
I haven't got gas and air. I'm just being honest. I would like the epidural. And they said to us, point blank, yes, you will have time.
But you can't have it unless you let us pop your waters.
Unless you pop your waters right now. So I said, fine, let's go for it. Okay, cool. So in she walks in with what I can only describe as a hook.
It's like a knitting needle with a hook on.
Yeah, frightening. So they basically shove it up there, give it a wiggle until they break the bag that the baby's in.
If it obviously hasn't done it itself.
Which was horrendous. But anyway, you get through that. And then all of a sudden, I start getting the shakes, didn't I?
Yeah, I think your body went, hello.
What's happening? What is happening?
And then they said, by the way, we haven't got any wheelchairs available.
So you're going to have to walk to the birthing suite.
Can you walk to the ward where you're going to... Yeah.
And
no, it's not a suite. It's not a suite. It's the birthing ward. And you got up and said, I'm going.
I'm running. If you're got a wheelchair, I'm going to run there.
So I
ran there and I threw up everywhere. And I'd gone from 0 centimetres, I think it was something ridiculous,
like
to 1 centimetre to, was it 8 centimetres? Yeah. Like in the space of half an hour. It was unreal how fast things were going. So I was screaming for pain relief. And when you from the moment they burst my waters, I think my body went into shock. And I don't think I quite knew how to deal with the pain. So my body was going into like a fight or flight situation. And I wasn't really...
You definitely weren't in control.
I wasn't registering what was going on. And this is where I think the trauma starts to set in, because when you're begging for pain relief and you feel like nobody's listening to you, because you're not rational, because you are frightened, you just lose control. And that must have been really hard for you to watch as well.
It's not. It's nothing compared to what you went through.
No, but you have to watch me. I mean, I was screaming for pain relief and nothing was really happening.
So we didn't have gas and air. We were told you get an epidural. So you were promised that, which made you run to the place, the place where you're supposed to give birth. Like you've upgraded from a room with three
like
other...
the holding bay.
Yeah, like the holding pen with the three other ladies. We've upgraded to a room of our own. But I wasn't expecting you to be like, you'd say, Leigh, do you want any water? And you just couldn't, you just weren't in the building at all.
Because I think the pain was just so overwhelming. Like they do say being induced is probably one of the hardest ways to give birth, because you don't have the natural build-up of labour. You go from 0 to 100. And it definitely felt like that. I was supposed to have a blood test before the epidural, which I did eventually. The wait then for the epidural felt like an eternity.
Well, they said it could be 2 hours till you get the results of that blood test. Then they can give you the epidural. And I was like, well, what are you going to do between now and the 2 hours when we get that result back? And they said, we can give you paracetamol.
I think at that point, you just kind of lose all hope that the only pain relief they can give you is paracetamol.
Because they said if they gave you anything else, then they couldn't give you the epidural.
Yeah, they said if they gave me a stronger pain relief, then it might affect the epidural. But little did I know, I was never going to get the epidural, because Theo was coming much faster than the epidural was.
So every 2 minutes, I must have said, where's this epidural? We were promised that there'd be extra staff available for this epidural. Where's the epidural? How's the blood test? Can you rush it through? I was like on a loop every 2 minutes. And then I had the genius idea. I said, can we just sign a piece of paper that says we don't care about the blood test and we can just have the epidural?
And they said yes.
They went, oh yeah, you can do that. I was like,
yeah.
Why are you making us wait then?
Yeah.
Why are you making us wait?
And by this point,
it's too late then.
By this point, for the first time, I think in my life, I just had lost control. I didn't even know where I was. You thought we were somewhere else. There are parts of that birth that I don't remember, because I think my mind protected me from the pain that I felt.
You can't process that amount of pain.
And I remember at one point they said, your baby's heart rate is dropping with every contraction, so we need to put a little clip on his head.
Do you actually remember this, though, in real time? Or do you remember it because I told you?
I think I remember it because you told me.
Yeah. They said,
I don't even remember the feeling. I don't remember the feeling anymore. I just remember being manhandled. Like I was just like on this table and just had so many hands on me.
What they said was, we need to put a clip on your baby's head to measure his heart rate, because we can't get it on the little band that you're wearing around your tummy.
Yeah.
So they said to you, is it okay to put a clip on his head? And you were like, I don't know what day it is. And I was saying, she's told me it's okay to speak for her. It's fine to put a clip on his head. And they were like, no, we need to hear it from Leigh.
Well, I didn't know where I was. And I didn't even realise I was in. I didn't realise I was in the place you're supposed to give birth.
So I said to you through your haze, say yes.
Yeah.
And you went, yes. And they went, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous situation.
Little did we know that it's not a clip, by the way. It's actually a little screw that they screw into the baby's head.
Yeah.
Quite literally. So if I'd have known that, I don't know. You're in a panic, aren't you? You're in a panic.
You trust them as well.
You trust them.
You think if they're saying we need one, there's no point fighting it, because they say you need one. So you can't say, well, actually, no, let's take the risk of the baby's heart rate dropping beyond. You just have to. Of
course you do.
You can't do anything else.
So then at this point, they realised that Theo's heart rate was dropping quite a lot.
Yeah.
Dangerously low. So they pressed the panic button and I was rushed into theatre for an emergency C-section. And you were told to go get your scrubs on, right?
They handed me some blue scrubs, like the TV show Scrubs. And I was like, I looked at myself in the mirror and I remember thinking, we've paid for hypnobirthing. We've been to NCT classes. We've read everything that you can read under the sun. We've done all the exercise. We've done everything that is humanly possible.
Yeah.
And I'm still about to go in for you to have an emergency C-section, which should be avoidable in all situations, unless it shouldn't have happened like this.
Yeah.
And I was just thought, how have we ended up here?
Yeah.
In the one place where we didn't want to end up, which is a category 1, which means unplanned emergency C-section.
Yeah. It was frightening.
I put the scrubs on and then I think, I better hurry up because I don't even know where you are.
Yeah.
They wheeled you off down the corridor.
So by this point they checked me and basically I was I was 10 centimeters.
Yeah.
And the blue curtain was coming across and they were getting prepped for the
epidural. You were about to get your epidural.
I was about to get my epidural, but then they rushed me through. So I never got the epidural, never saw the epidural. Bye, epidural.
They sat you up on the side of the bed.
Yeah,
and
they went,
it's coming.
no.
You're going to get it. And then they were like...
So basically a cock tease, basically.
Yeah. They were like, actually, sorry, you ain't got time for the epidural now.
Yeah. So as they're preparing very quickly for the emergency C-section, I suddenly feel the urge to push.
Yeah.
And I could... it's a strange feeling, It feels like you need to poo, but through for JJ. And it feels like you just need to get something out. Like you can't stop it. It just takes over your body.
Yeah.
So the first contraction I had where I was like, I need to push.
But bearing in mind that they're hovering over you with a scalpel and they're like, sign this piece of paper to allow us.
No, it was an iPad, wasn't it? Apparently.
Yeah. Sign this iPad with your signature saying that you approve an emergency C-section.
I didn't know what was going on.
I couldn't do that. You had to do it.
Yeah. So the first time I pushed, I felt... It's so hard to describe, but I felt probably Theo's head against my pelvis. And I thought, okay, that's what's pushing up against it. And that's bloody big.
Big Ed Theo.
And I felt the need to do it quickly because otherwise they were going to cut him out. So I tried to push again, but not with the contraction. And that bloody cheeky bastard, he went, excuse me, love, don't try and push when you're not having a contraction. I felt like saying, shut up! You shut up.
Some old bloke at the back.
Shush, you. And then you said to me in my ear,
you're missing out the best bit, mate.
Oh.
You've missed out the...
What's the best bit?
The bit of bits that people don't tell you about childbirth. Sometimes, this is, if you're not good with details... You just go forward like 20 seconds. Sometimes they cut a little bit of the entrance to make it bigger. It's called, what's it called?
Episiotomy.
Episiotomy. They just a little widen the gap, shall we say.
Oh, yeah, I did miss the best bit.
They did that with no pain relief.
Oh, yeah. No, I forgot. So when I tried pushing, you said, could she push him out? If to avoid having the C-section, could she push him out? And the consultant said, if I do an episiotomy right here, right now, right here, right now, right here.
Cut it.
Then yeah, she might be able to push him out. And literally, they inject the bottom of your vajayjay with some numbing stuff. You're supposed to, apparently, I've researched this. You're supposed to wait at least 60 seconds for the numbing.
Oh, they did not wait 60
injection
seconds
to take effect. They waited probably 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And then literally got some. Was it scissors or a scalpel?
I wasn't really watching this in full detail.
They cut. Yeah.
Welcome back. If you've skipped forward 20 seconds, it's probably a good decision.
And
then they were like, actually, there's no time to push again.
Yeah,
are you joking? You've just
massacred that.
You've just gone in and done, and then you're going, now there's no time. I was like, can she not have just one more push? Just one more push. Surely.
2 pushes. It's like miraculous if you can do it in 2 pushes.
And they were like, no. And then you were like, and I was
you said to me, didn't you? You said in my ear, you better push him out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna go have a C-section. You're gonna have a C-section.
I leaned in and I said, "You better come out in this one."
And I closed my eyes, and this is on a serious note. I closed my eyes and thought, even if I pass out from the pain of pushing, at least I won't know about it.
Yeah.
Because I'll be knocked out.
Yeah.
Either way. And luckily, with that push, Theo came out. How many people can say they pushed out a kid in 2 pushes?
1, 2.
That's some good...
Buckle my vag.
That's some good crunches that I did.
That was
sit-ups. It was extreme.
And like the 8 people that were hovering over you,
Yeah.
like essentially with a scalpel and all
Yeah.
the masks, and they were about to do it. They all retreated back into the shadows.
It was really weird, wasn't it?
Really odd.
Things then kind of settled down. They put Theo on me. I named him before he came out.
Oh, this is great. This is nice. So we talked about a few names for Theo. Hunter being one.
That was top. That was lead.
For a while, it was the lead. And Theo was a contender. And what was some of the other ones? What was it?
Milo.
Jensen, you liked.
Jensen.
All these names. And then unnamed baby pops out after the second one. His little purple head comes out. And then he goes, meh, meh, meh. And then he goes on Leigh's chest and she goes, Theo.
Yep.
Theo. And I was like, you fucking knob.
Yeah, I've got to do it again as well. Next one comes out, I am.
You better not name the next one if there isn't one coming.
Yep.
So you named him there and then.
Theo, yeah.
So that was, I mean,
and then you think that's the end. You think you've done it.
It's over
I've done
now.
it. The pain relief will come flooding in.
You have that special moment that you see in
maybe
the films.
some Nurofen.
Yeah, you've done paracetamol, ibuprofen. Oh no, not ibuprofen.
Now apparently they did give me at this point some fentanyl. But believe me, ladies and gentlemen,
Didn't touch the sides.
when somebody is stitching you up down there,
oh yeah, because they've got to
stitch you back up. They gotta sew up what they tore. They gotta sew up what they cut.
got to patch it.
They gotta patch it up, right? She did a great job, by the way. Tight.
Wow.
You should know.
Leaving it in.
You still feel every stitch. And
It was like 40 minutes.
I just want to
Is
put
the
a
honest
little
truth.
disclaimer in now, because on a serious note, again, not all births are like this, okay? Some people go on to have really nice births and
Yeah.
some of us don't. I unfortunately didn't have a great birth.
No.
I think what it comes down to is the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing we could have done to prepare ourselves for what happened. Maybe a bit more research into what induction
Maybe
being
if
induced,
someone had
what being induced involves.
maybe if someone had told a story like this.
Maybe
And we'd have heard it.
Yeah, and I think this is the problem. Before giving birth, and you know this about me, I researched loads of stories about giving birth, and a lot of them are very positive, and that's great. Look, I'm all for everybody sharing their stories, but I felt like there was a lack of honesty. Like, it's all going to be fine as long as you have your baby in your arms.
At the end of it.
Then what have you got to worry about? What have you got to complain about? Like, you'll recover. It's fine.
Yeah.
But actually, I had to go through a year's worth of therapy for it. And I had to do that. Otherwise, I don't think I could go through it again.
Yeah.
Thank God I have you as my husband, because you were extremely supportive. You must have listened to the same story over and over again every day. You were there when I couldn't get out of bed some days because the trauma of it was so consuming.
I think the best thing that I did, if it becomes apparent to you that you're going to have a terrible situation, the day we got home, I wrote down everything that had happened
Yeah.
with timings in order, because you thought we were in different rooms when we weren't. You couldn't remember what time Theo was born, what weight he was, everything like that. And one of the things that you ended up doing was reconstructing the day based on what you felt happened compared to what you know happened. So like what I told you is you could fill in, you can order it in your head.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of CBT therapy that you can be offered, by the way, but through the NHS. If you feel that you have had a traumatic birth, you can get in touch with your local midwife or GP. You can go online and search NHS childbirth therapy. It is free on the NHS, and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And basically what they do is they get you to talk through what you think happened on the day, and then they get me to talk to you, and you essentially fill in the gaps. And it's basically what I think versus reality. And
it's what you know now, isn't it?
And what I know now.
Yeah.
And now, for example, I felt like everybody was ignoring me in that room. I felt like I was screaming out for pain, and everybody was just walking past, not really bothered, just getting really taking their time, and just, and I felt like
ignoring, literally you were
I felt ignored.
Just in the corner as if no one was paying attention.
But you said that actually people were doing things. They were trying really hard to do their jobs, and they were trying to reassure me and tell me what what they were doing. But because I was in a state of panic,
You don't remember it?
reality gets construed.
Construed?
Is that a new one?
You might be right.
Am I right?
I mean, it does mean interpreted in a particular way.
There you
so,
are, see?
I'm going to let you have it.
Love it.
That's good.
Yeah, so and then you think it's all done. You think you've done your bit. Everything's going to get better now. By the way, the whole, you give birth and you hold your baby with your husband at the back of you and you have that perfect
And a little
picture and you
tear.
all smile is a load of bullshit, by the way.
Yeah.
And if you did get that, you're extremely lucky because I
Yeah.
don't know one family that got that. So after I've been stitched up, blimey, lots of things happened then.
It wasn't over, was it? We thought
no.
this must be, what I thought, once the stitching had been done and once you'd been given some like hardcore pain relief, we'd be all good.
No, I still was feeling a lot of pain. And this was, we'd been moved into a different room. It was called the recovery room. And you were helping the nurse weigh Theo, put his little clothes on, do all the nice things, I would say. And I told you to do that. And I told you to take pictures. So just before anybody says, well, where were you, Chris? I told Chris to do this. No matter what state I was in, I didn't want to miss out on those. Even if I couldn't be there, I wanted you to get the photos. And
Well, otherwise
to
you've got
show
no
me.
photos of his first hours of his life,
Yeah,
And
although he ruined his first outfit, didn't he? The hat was too big for
Oh
starters. so
yeah,
they gave
well,
him-
he had
they
a
gave
little
him this
tiny head, which is really funny.
Really pea. He still has a pea head.
Given that he would cause so much trouble on the way out with his head, it's a tiny head.
He
Apparently.
takes after his pops.
Oh.
So while you're doing all the nice things, I'm left on. Well, I wouldn't even call it a bed. It was like a table.
A gurney.
Yeah, a gurney. And this is TMI. So if you are a little bit squeamish, there was blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Lots of it, to be honest. And I had this really bad pain in my bum area of all places. And I to this day do think I either fractured or bruised a bone down there. I was in so much agony with it. And I don't mind bearing all here. And I did say this at the beginning of the podcast. I would tell everything. But like, I couldn't go to the toilet. And when the nurse left, I couldn't control my bowels. And I pooed on the table. Now, dignity-wise, I think that was probably the lowest point of my life. Because I had to ask you to help me.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're wife and husband and wife.
Yeah, but
you don't ever think
do
you're going
it,
to
do you?
ask your husband to do that at the age of 33.
No, but then you had already thrown up all over my arm, so we were kind of like in the territory of does it really matter?
And we have been
anymore?
abroad many times and ended up in the same situation.
Yeah,
but,
that wasn't baby related.
no.
So not the poo situation.
But no, the throwing up situation. I think I asked for an ice pack, and they said they couldn't get one because the fridge was locked.
And the person with the key has gone home. Bearing in mind, so just to give you a quick outline of timings, the breaking of the waters was 8:30. Giving birth of Theo was at 9:22.
Yeah.
So that's unbelievably fast.
So essentially, I went from 0 to giving birth in under an hour and 2 pushes, which you can imagine is like
Stupid.
traumatizing.
So by the time we were getting to the point where they were starting to want me to go, because obviously
you're not allowed on the
at
ward.
that point in time, men aren't allowed.
Of course not.
Because why
would they?
Men, with all these men can't be here.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of being ushered out the door at 1 a.m, half
Chucked
1.
Theo on me.
They go to you. Sorry, we can't get you an ice pack. Sorry, there's no real pain relief that you can have.
But we'll put a catheter
because
in.
you've had fentanyl.
Yeah.
So you can't have anything else.
We'll put a catheter in.
We're going to put a catheter in.
So we don't have to help you to the toilet.
Here you go, here's your baby. And then they're like, right, off you go, Dad. Come back tomorrow. Earliest you can come is at 8 a.m. And then you get wheeled down the corridor.
You're wheeled onto the postnatal ward with the other mums and their babies. And it's very dark because people are trying to sleep. But you can hear all the other babies crying. I wasn't feeling too good because after what had happened.
I mean, yeah.
Luckily, Theo was sleeping, bless him. But I'd say after about an hour or so, the pain started getting too much again. And I kept pressing my buzzer and nobody was answering. And this nurse at the time came in very angrily and was like, why are you making a fuss? Why are you making a fuss?
She said, I've been on a break.
I've been, yes, that was the first one. She said, I've been on the break. And because I was like, where I've been pressing my buzzer all the time. She said, I've been on a break. We're really understaffed, but I went on my break, which was a bit like, okay. And And I said, I can't feed my baby. And he started crying. And I can't sit up because I'm in too much pain. I'd really like this catheter out. So to be fair to her, she did help feed Theo, but I was still left in pain and I couldn't take any more. And this was like 4 a.m. now. So I'm pressing my buzzer. And then another nurse comes in and she's like, why are you making such a fuss? Like, stop making a fuss. You'll ruin it for everyone else. Well, at this point, I called you. I was emotional, wasn't I?
I couldn't do anything though because I wasn't allowed back in.
You just feel so alone and so vulnerable, and you just feel like you can't do anything. Like, I still think about that night, and I get a little bit upset because I think I should have really been there for Theo more and held him more. But I think I was just in survival mode. Yeah. I think I was like, I've just got to get through this night. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna lose it. I'd already lost it anyway.
But that had, when it comes to trauma, that night
played a big part
in the fact that you still felt abandoned.
Yeah.
Even though you'd done the birth bit, it's like, okay, is this pain relief ever going to come? They're like, oh, in 2 hours you can have pain relief. When are you going to get any pain relief?
The next time you can have pain relief is possibly 5:30, 6 o'clock when we come around and do the next blood tests. I don't know. It's very lonely.
Yeah.
It's very lonely on that ward.
I don't know if it were just like a product of bad timing. Like, if you'd have had gas and air, would it have made that much of a difference?
Yeah, I do. Well, I think I didn't have enough pain relief. I don't think we were told enough about what being induced involves. And I just think we were very naive, unfortunately, like many parents are. And that's why I hope by sharing our story, it doesn't scare people, but I am just one.
Need a truth out there.
I'm just one. This is just one example of what could happen. So maybe if I was talking to my past self, I'd say maybe read up on what being induced is like. Yeah. Maybe watch a few stories or listen to a few stories of people who have been induced. What are your rights when they say, no, you have to be induced and, you either get this space or you don't? Like, what are your rights? And also, what can you do if they don't have any pain relief? Because that could happen in this day and age.
I think also you're a sort of character that wants to know what the worst case is.
Yeah.
And, okay, not everybody does.
Not everybody's like that.
If that's totally you, fine. You probably don't want to listen to this episode.
Why are you listening now?
But thanks. We appreciate it. But if you are the kind of person
who wants to know what it's really like.
Yeah.
No holding back.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I will go through it again. And you might call me crazy for doing that. But
I will do, yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth what you get out of it. And you do recover and things do get better.
But don't say to somebody, well, at least you've got your baby.
Don't ever say that, because
it's like everything else doesn't matter then.
No, and it's still, I shouldn't have to sacrifice my mental health. I shouldn't have to sacrifice my body to give birth to my son. Like, I should come out of it.
Should have been easier.
It should have been easier. And I now know where mistakes were made, and where we'll do things differently next time. But I just hope this podcast helps at least one person and doesn't scare the bejesus out of them, because there are things you can do to help yourself. Just know that it is worth it. If I can go through it again, you can. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it wasn't too much information, although I definitely think it was. But if it can help one person, then it was worth it.
And also, if you want us to talk more about other aspects, because, pregnancy, stuff like that, maybe you want to talk about it more as well.
Yeah. Or being a parent.
Let us know.
What it's really like being a parent. It's not always rainbows and unicorns. It is also shitty nappies and punamis. That's the same thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a lot of that.
It's a lot of that. It's quite a lot of that. Or just like a toddler that'll just stand in front of you while you're watching your favourite movie and they'll just fart in your face.
And a husband.
Remember, you can always get in touch with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
We nearly walked away. You might want to just hear from Theo.
Yeah, I'd like to hear his take on the childbirth, actually. Theo, what did you make of it, mate? Quite different to how I saw it. But then again,
I mean, he had the best view in a way of his...
He had the inside view. Like that.
Are you tired of seeing your teen or young adult struggle on a path that clearly isn't the right fit? Is your teenager confused about which direction to take after high school? The future of work is changing rapidly, and our kids need to know all of the options available after high school so they're empowered to make the choice that is best for them. In each episode, we explore the latest trends that are shaping the opportunities of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Betsy Jewell, and this is the High School Hamster Wheel Podcast.